Evernorth Health Services, we believe costs shouldn't get in the way of life-changing care, and we're doing everything in our power to make it possible. Behavioral health solutions that also keep your projections at their best? It's possible. Pharmacy benefits that benefit your bottom line? It's possible. Complex specialty care that cares about your ROI? It's possible. Because we're already doing it. All while saving businesses billions. That's Wonder made possible. Learn more at evernorth.com/wonder.
This episode is brought to you by La Quinta by Wyndham. Your work can take you all over the place, like Texas. You've never been, but it's going to be great because you're staying at La Quinta by Wyndham. Their free Bright Side breakfast will give you energy for the day ahead. And after, you can unwind using their free high-speed Wi-Fi. Tonight, La Quinta. Tomorrow, you shine. Book your stay today at lq.com.
Hey guys, welcome to this week's podcast episode. I've got a really fantastic guest for you today, Scott Cartwright. He dubs himself as a skincare Sherpa, which we're going to find out all about what that is, and especially the skincare industry. This show is for entrepreneurs. It's a business podcast. He's going to talk about his story, and I'm really happy to highlight his business and brand for the audience. So, Scott, welcome.
Well, thank you. Thanks so much for having me.
Yeah. Where did your entrepreneurial journey start? How'd you get interested in skincare? And tell us all the backdrop before we dive in.
Yeah, no, I'm happy to. I don't want to bore you with the details, but I think it goes way back to when I was probably 6, 7 years old. I was that kid who would find a rock, paint it, and then try to sell it to the neighbors for 25 or 30 cents. I've always had the entrepreneur in me. And then I don't know what happened to it along the way. I think it always stayed there, but I went to school and then I joined the Navy. This is a quick story. I joined the Navy to, see the world. I flew off of aircraft carriers, traveled around the world, literally. Got out of the Navy, and then I was doing more business building stuff, trying to work with people who were having problems with their blood sugar. And I transitioned from that into working at a hospital full-time as a program manager, transitioned from there back into entrepreneurship because it kind of always pulls at me. So I was working with my father on working with people with chronic illness, multiple sclerosis. And so together, he and I created like a home study course and supplements and an online course for people with MS. And then from there, that's when I transitioned into skincare. It was kind of a dare, basically, a challenge, because skincare is a huge industry, and I was always looking for a big mass market because that's always a good idea. And so someone said, you should consider starting a skincare brand. And they knew I was a good marketer and a good business person, but I was like, I can't start a skincare brand. There's 10 million skincare brands out there. Mine can't be any different. Mine won't be any different. And then she said, well, you should try and see. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna try to sell a skincare product just to prove that you don't know what you're talking about. That kind of out of spite. Yeah. And so I wound up just simply taking, I bought like 10 vitamin C serums from a local boutique skincare business here in San Diego where I live. And I wound up just putting my label on them, and I sent them into Amazon just to see what would happen. And I didn't think anything would happen of it. And then sure enough, people they were buying it, and they bought 2, 3, 4 of them. I was like, oh, I need to send more in. And so I sent more in, but the interesting thing that happened when I was selling the vitamin C serum is that I realized, and through Amazon's reporting, it told me that a lot of people were buying my serum, but they were searching for vitamin E oil, vitamin E product. Yeah. And so I wound up creating, and I realized that there were no vitamin E oil products in the market, only a few of them, handful. And so I wound up creating a vitamin E serum that I sent in, and then it just kept growing and growing and growing. And then I added onto it a whole line of vitamin E oil-based products, so a cleanser, an eye cream, a daytime moisturizer with SPF, nighttime moisturizer, a scrub, just kept on expanding, added additional products on there. It grew. We're like doing like $3.5 million a year from that. And then private equity company approached me to buy the brand, and I wound up selling the brand. It was a good thing that I just kind of started as a challenge, a dare, a spite, and then wound up something amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. Fantastic. And I've talked to, I had a friend in high school, and she, it seems like skincare is kind of like, and then it's kind of like you get it showcased, like in your case, private equity, or sometimes it's like there was I can't remember that channel that features all the products that the Shark Tank, but get it mainstream and get it kind of a 100 million valuation and all that.
Yeah.
So, and I just love your journey, because it's like this typical entrepreneurial, it's the hero's journey. And you're basically, Navy, military, you're traveling through, you talk about Amazon, which is really interesting. And kind of tell me about the Amazon, kind of, I'm very curious.
Yeah, it's one of those places where if you're selling a physical product, you kind of have to be on Amazon. I know a lot of people are afraid of it, but I'm here to tell you that if I can do it, anybody can do it. It has its hurdles, but Amazon is the biggest marketplace in the world. They have everybody's credit card. You and me and everyone else goes to Amazon to search for things. It's like a search engine. And so if you're not on Amazon, no matter what you're selling, I think people are selling pianos on Amazon. The shipping is a little bit of a problem, but yeah, if you're not on Amazon, you're losing out. You're leaving money on the table for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, it's similar. It's like if you don't own a website, if you're not found on social media, you don't exist, right? So it's like, but yeah, kind of moving on. This question is so this kind of talking about this cracking the code, and you have insider tips for skincare brand building. Talk about how you build it, the ingredients, kind of safety as well. Kind of start that conversation.
Yeah, sure. Happy to. I think it all starts with a passion, and so for me, ultimately my passion is entrepreneurship and building businesses and, starting things in the grind. I'm not really interested in the part where it's like running the day-to-day part of it. Although I did that and, I can, but I find that I really like just the starting part, the hardest part. I don't know why I like that, but I think for listeners, the passion is where it comes from, and because passion is what's going to keep you motivated to keep going. Because there are days Amazon will do something crazy to you, shut down your listing, or someone will complain, or you'll have to submit some document that you'll need to get certified. It's always something coming from Amazon. But I think passion is the first thing. And then I think the second thing nowadays is the audience. You need to have an audience to sell a skincare product to. And my audience back in the day was people who were health conscious, because vitamin E is kind of it's an all natural. My serum oil was all natural, organic. And so people who are health conscious, but even more so nowadays, people want, a brand needs to be focused on a person, and how you can serve that person. And so I'm currently in the process of building additional skincare brands. And just for example, so I have one now that I'm starting that's for people on a spiritual journey. So it's a set of facial serums for each of the 7 chakras, a different serum for each of the 7 chakras that's meant to awaken and balance the chakra. And so what I'm doing this time is a little bit more targeted than I did last time, is I'm starting with the audience. So these products are designed for people people on a spiritual journey. And so we're talking about people who are into chakras, crystals, singing bowls, Reiki, yoga, meditation, those kind of people.
Yeah.
And those people, once you have a targeted group of people, an audience, and then what their pain is, what they're trying to achieve. People on a spiritual journey are looking for a deeper connection. And so I've created a product to help them with their connection with the divine or higher power, or whatever you call it, God, whatever you call it. They're all looking for the same thing. And so I think that's the best place to start, by serving an audience make sure you're passionate about it. And then from there, it seems like the rest is fairly easy and straightforward. I mean, I don't want to say it's easy because it's always easy when you've done it before. But I think the harder part is at the beginning. When you're building a house, you need to build the foundation properly at first. Then the rest of the house could be kind of almost anything. But if the foundation is off in any way, then you could put the best materials, the best laborers, the best whatever on it, and it's not going to work out. So I think those are the two core foundations to building any brand, whether it be skincare or it could be any brand, kitchenware, anything really.
Yeah, it's quite interesting. Because this idea of serving the audience and serving the customer, that's like core fundamental. And as I listened to this fantastic talk recently, it's just talking about how brands and creators, they grow to millions of followers and so can sustain themselves like a full-time business. And they always talk about passionate about the customer, serving the audience, always give, and they will you will be rewarded by the loyalty and their following.
Exactly. Yeah, it's so true because a lot of times you'll meet people and they'll want to start a product and my first question is, well, who are you going to sell this to? And I don't know. They say no, and so I'm like, well, you probably need to go back to the drawing board and come up with who you're going to sell it to first. That's because they're passionate. They have the passion that they want to do something, but they don't know who they're selling it to, and that's never a good option.
Yeah. So talk about so is your skin, you created these own, or you kind of mixed and matched, and how do you know which products to sell, or which ones are good?
Yeah, so I always have my mind and my eye open towards opportunities out there. And so whenever I'm looking on Amazon for anything or walking through the store or anything, or I talk to people, people let you know what's missing in the market. So I'm always one to look for a gap, a hole in the market, or find a product out there that people aren't 100% happy with. And so I will usually take that idea and run with it. And so for the spirituality product, I'm into spirituality myself. And so when I'm looking for things, I noticed that for the chakras, for example, there's candles out there, there's crystals out there, there's chakra mats out there, there's all kinds of dream catchers and things like that. But there was no skincare product for people who are into chakras. And so I just happen to be a skincare person, so it was a nice match for me. But I'd say to always start, you just notice things. And then once you notice things and you have an idea about it, then it's helpful to talk to someone who's in the market. So I would talk to a good friend of mine, runs yoga retreats, and she's a Reiki practitioner and goes to yoga, in India at the core, the source of all yoga, and gets trained by the gurus there. And so I talked to her about the idea, talked to a couple other people about the idea, and they said it was great. They hadn't seen anything out there like that. They would spend money on it. All those things, because oftentimes we will make these type of decisions in a vacuum without talking to anybody else. But then you go and first thing, I said, make sure you have an audience, but then also talk to someone in the audience and make sure they would buy it. They say it's a good idea, because just because you think it's a good idea doesn't necessarily mean that it is. And so I kind of have these just mental check marks that I need to go through before I move forward with it. And so with this one, I'm actually documenting the journey this time. I did not do that the first time because I don't know, I was just basically trying to learn how to swim, and I didn't even think about documenting it. But since I've kind of been there and done it this time, I'm documenting the journey so that anybody who's interested can follow along. I make a daily recording of what I'm doing, the Amazon, Shopify, the logo, labels, all that stuff for these new brands that I'm launching. Hopefully so someone can, watch it and get a shortcut to their success. And so that's where the skincare Sherpa came along. I think I'm a guide I call myself the guide to starting a successful skincare brand, to starting and growing a successful skincare brand.
Yeah. Next thing is talk about a little bit about what tips do you have for manufacturing, finding manufacturers, anything you can shed light on.
Yeah, manufacturing always seems to be the trickiest part for people. And it doesn't have to be, manufacturers, they don't bite, they want your business, they looking to help you. And so it's always helpful if you go to a manufacturer with an idea in mind of what you want, just like anything else. But some people will go and say, "Hey, I want a anti-aging serum," and then I tell them, "Well, you need to narrow it down just a little bit because you're asking for the manufacturer, which sometimes is a formulator at the manufacturer, but sometimes there is not. Some manufacturers just take the formulation and then make it. But if the formulator is there, if the manufacturer can do the formulation, you really can help them if you've done a little bit of research, because you're asking them to do all of the work, and they may not come up with the product that you're happy with. But if you take a little bit of time, figure out, if you have a product that helps people treat their, acne, for example, and then you find out the specific ingredients that you want to use to differentiate yourself from all the other acne treating products out there, and then you go to the formulator / manufacturer with those ingredients in mind already, then that gives them a place to work with and start from. If you ask them to do the work, then you'll probably get just another copycat product that's already out there. And so I'd say having a place to start would be coming up with some sort of idea. I know it's going to be hard because most people don't have an idea what they want in a product, but if you just do a little bit of research, a little bit of AI can help, Google can help. People that you may know somebody who has this problem and the solutions that they've tried in the past. And oftentimes people come up with these products because they are looking for a solution. They want to scratch their own itch. And so they've tried a combination of products that work in different ways, but they can't find that one product that has all of those ingredients in there. So between those things, then you can usually come up with a recipe formulation, or at least a starting point for the manufacturer. And then from the manufacturer, you just need to find out how much it's going to cost, how long the process is going to take, what kind of sampling that you can get done, if they provide services to send the things to Amazon, if they provide packaging information, things like that, things that you would naturally want to know is what they can tell you. But I think my main piece of advice would be, don't be afraid. The manufacturers don't bite. They want to help you. And you can help them if you just give them a little something to work with.
Yeah. How can people find you, follow your social media, check your workout, etc.?
Yeah, they can find me at the Skincare Sherpa. So on YouTube, I'm documenting the journey on YouTube videos. So if you just search for the Skincare Sherpa, the videos will come up. And then I also have a website at theskincaresherpa.com, where I'm putting together a list of resources for people who are trying to build a brand. So it's for, if you want to build a skincare, hair care, body care, or pet care brand, putting together a resource list there. So if you give an email address there, I can get that resource list to you. Or just shoot me an email at scott at theskincaresherpa.com, and I get back to you. Happy to help with anything that I can help with.
Yeah. And for all the audience out there, let's thank Scott for coming onto the show, and a really insightful conversation about skincare products, building a skincare business and empire. And be sure to follow him. He's on YouTube, Facebook, all over, and his website, the Skincare Sherpa. All these links will be in the show notes. And with that, thanks so much for coming onto the podcast.
Thanks so much.